Hi, so my name is Olivia Lorenz, and for my case study, I chose to research the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment. All right, so an overview, what happened? On February 3rd, 2023, at 8:55 p.m., 38 of the 150 car Norfolk Southern train derailed. This incident was caused by a defective wheel bearing. 11 of the derailed cars were transporting hazardous materials, five of which were containing vinyl chloride, which is highly volatile. It's a colorless gas. It's produced for commercial uses. Several other cars were also carrying ethyl acrylate and isobutylene, which are considered to be very toxic and possibly carcinogenic. Some cars burned for up to 2 days, while others spilled the chemicals into nearby rivers and they flowed downstream. Some of those cars that had the vinyl chloride had the hazardous material that built up the pressure, and that led to Norfolk Southern doing a controlled burn. All residents within a 1 mile area were evacuated. The effects of this derailment can be grouped into health problems and environmental problems. The final effects are still unknown. People in the area were and are still suffering from headaches, coughing, rashes, nausea, nose and throat irritation, shortness of breath, exacerbated medical conditions. The environmental effects include, but are not limited to, contaminated soil, water, air, polluted 16 states. It affected marine, plant life, and agriculture. It reminds me a lot of the Flint case study because things are still unfolding. All right, so the stakeholders. We have the internal and the external stakeholders. The internal stakeholders included the passengers. There were three on board. There was a conductor, an engineer, and a conductor trainee. Um, Other internal stakeholders would be the Norfolk Southern executives and investors. Um, External stakeholders would be the residents of East Palestine, local and federal government, environmental agencies such as the EPA, field responders, and then other railroad companies due to being affected from any legislative actions that can result from the settlement of this crisis. All right, so what did Norfolk Southern do? How did they respond? Um, so, Norfolk Southern has been very responsive, probably because of all of the media coverage and the widespread coverage. They kind of have to be pretty responsive. They created a whole section of their website about the East Palestine crisis, including frequent news updates, site restoration progress, and statistics involving the amount of people that they've helped. They have clearly outlined their plans for a monthly, weekly, and even a daily basis. Their immediate actions included a controlled burn to prevent an explosion, removal of the rail cars, and immediate soil, air, and water testing. They've committed over $1 billion to address the derailment, including a $600 million settlement, um, cleanup costs, environmental monitoring, a new safety training center, and a community health center to help the residents. They're also working in collaboration with a lot of great organizations, including the CDC, EPA, FEMA, Federal Railroad Administration, state health departments, environmental agencies, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. In their press releases and their news updates, they have made it clear that their focus is on the community support, economic development, and environmental remediation. They've made a promise that they will not leave East Palestine until all the repairs and reparations are made. All right, so I chose to look at this from the four-stage Fink model. The prodromal stage, there wasn't many podromes, mainly because the warning system on the track did not alert them of the high temperatures of the wheel bearings until it was way too late. Another thing you can consider a podrum would be that they use DOT 111 tankers, which are known for not having the best crash test worthiness. And then looking at the acute stage, the conductor was warned to stop. This was, too late, and the train derailed. The chronic stage includes the controlled burns, the evacuation, and then now we're in the recovery stage. We're still in the recovery stage. We're looking at the settlements, the claims, environmental and rebuilding efforts, and legislation. All right, now we move into the retrospective. So, where are they now? Norfolk Southern is a really big company. They're continuing to pursue these remediation efforts, including site remediation and restoration, stream work, community support, settled class action, and other lawsuits. But new lawsuits are still continuing to emerge. There is a new one that was actually put out in February of this year, accusing Norfolk Southern of causing 7 deaths from this accident. So it's very much still an ongoing crisis. Some people could say that this was an accidental crisis because it was faulty wheel bearing, but a lot of people said that it was completely preventable. So they're at Norfolk Southern's facing a lot of heat and negative press from this. They're doing their best for image restoration, but still, it's a really big problem. All right, so now we can look at the strengths and the weaknesses of how they responded to this crisis. The strengths, in my opinion, I think they're doing a really good job. So their strengths are the transparency, the frequent updates, easy to understand web page with new releases are in accordance with the EPA and other regulatory groups. So weaknesses, people accuse them of not having timely communication with first responders and government agencies after this first happened. Norfolk Southern already had some negative prior press, and that doesn't help per Coombs's advice. Some say that Norfolk Southern could have handled it differently by providing more long-term support to the community, helping with relocation efforts, and that the $25 million for the health fund was not enough. All right, so looking at what could have been improved. This is hard for me because I really think that Norfolk Southern is doing a great job. Like I said, it might be due to the widespread coverage and negative press and everything. So they're trying to improve their image restoration by committing to more long-term. So I think what they could do is improve their image restoration by committing to more long-term effects. They're doing a good job taking accountability by using conciliation and taking the rebuilding posture. From my research, people aren't mad about how they're handling it. They're just mad that it happened in general because a lot of people do think it was preventable. I think that Norfolk Southern could possibly do more to work with railroad administration to ensure adequate safety regulations and monitoring systems to prevent something like this from happening again, because I really haven't seen them doing that. But yeah, so I learned a lot from studying this case. I was aware of it, but I wasn't aware of just how big of a deal it was. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So here are all the references that I used to find all my information. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, see you later.